Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, October 31st. So welcome to the last day of October, where we're likely going to feel an intense push, an intense drive to wrap up the life lessons that October was meant to teach us. If you need to go back and listen to the October energy forecast, go ahead and do so and see how your October lined up with the astro events and the energy shifts. But we are definitely going to be bringing things full circle. Of course, today is Halloween, Samhain for those who celebrate, which means that this is a very mystical day where there are a lot of unseen magical things that are happening behind the scenes. This is a time where the electricity in the air is very high in order for us to be able to connect and communicate with other realms. And of course, receiving a lot of ideas, a lot of inspiration that we will carry forth and actually pursue in moving forward. We have the moon moving out of this Capricorn energy and moving into Aquarian energy. The moon will be going void, of course, at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We spend a very short amount of time void, of course, which is always a good thing. And at 11:43, we lock into Aquarian energy. So anytime that we are moving from Capricorn energy to Aquarian energy, we are definitely going to feel that shift. The Capricorn energy for the last couple of days has made us very kind of low and slow, very kind of focused on our to-do list, on what it is that we have to clean up, tie up as far as the past goes in order to clean the slate for new goals, ambitions, and desires to actually have a space to be born into. The Capricorn energy, as low and slow as it is, of course, we're feeling the tension of the roles and responsibilities weighing very heavily on our shoulders. We're also kind of illuminated to where it is that we need to boss up to new roles and responsibilities. And of course, having Saturn, the Lord of Karma, rule over Capricorn energy, we are definitely seeing where the tides are shifting, where new soul contracts are unfolding. And a lot of the realizations that we have with the moon in Capricorn is what it is that we've outgrown, what it is we're no longer in alignment with, what it is that is literally sucking the life force energy out of us. And we have to kind of be illuminated to these restrictions, to these limitations in our lives, if you will, in order for the moon in Aquarius, the Aquarian energy, to problem solve and free us from some of the constructs and restrictions that have definitely been illuminated for us over the last couple of days. Having these two particular signs rule over today, which is a magical day in the unseen realms, is super interesting because, of course, there's a lot of wisdom, a lot of maturity, a lot of understanding that comes from the Capricorn energy on how it is that we are going to focus in and manifest a brand new foundation, a brand new reality for ourselves. And of course, the Aquarian energy is way out there, very, very out there, alien, if you will. We get to see the bigger, brighter picture. We get a lot of downloads from the higher realms of intelligence. It is definitely I'm going to say a positive energy mixed with the Scorpio season in order to truly commune with higher realms of intelligence and receive downloads and insights that, of course, are going to help us piece together our new path, our new direction, our new passion, and our new desires. So there are 8 different aspects here today, and 6 of them involve the moon. While the moon is still in Capricorn energy, we are going to have a little bit of a tough interaction with Mars, who is just freshly retrograde. If you haven't listened to the astro forecast that I put out for Mars going retrograde in Gemini energy that just happened yesterday morning, I'm going to recommend that you go ahead and that you listen to that. It's a big picture on what we can expect moving from now until March of 2023. It's a big deal. So definitely check that out. So this particular interaction, it is a little bit filled with tension. It is an opportunity to kind of shift our perspective, to learn, to have an aha moment, but it comes through a conflict. It comes through a little bit of a tension point. The moon in Capricorn, of course, very low and slow, looking at the roles and responsibilities that we have, the commitments and obligations that we have, feeling very weighted by those particular aspects in our lives. And Mars, of course, wanting to take action is now not really in the place to do that now that he is retrograde. All of that energy is now internalized. And instead of taking action and putting ourselves out into the world, we have to move inward and really get real with what it is that we're doing in life, what it is that we're pouring our time and our energy and our attention into, analyzing our goals, our dreams to see whether or not we're still excited about them, whether we still align with them or not. This is going to be a tough aspect to kind of sit with ourselves in, because the restlessness, the anticipation, even the anxiety that we're feeling at this particular point in time to go ahead, to take action, to make moves out in the world, it's being blocked. It's being snuffed out by the cosmos, by the universe. Instead of just, exerting ourselves out in the world willy-nilly, we have to do the inner work necessary to make sure that we are using our time, our energy, our love, our attention, our focus on all the right things in all the right ways. We're definitely going to get down to the nitty-gritty, get a little bit more strategic in our plans so that we're not wasting our time or our energy. Again, this is a tough aspect, which means that we definitely can feel a little bit angered, a little bit frustrated, a little bit agitated, because it never feels good to be blocked in life. And it sure as hell doesn't feel good to be trapped in some roles and responsibilities, some obligations and commitments that we no longer feel aligned with. The moon is going to come up to, bump into, sit next to Pluto, the great transformer, who is now direct in Capricorn energy. We're at the final degrees of this Capricorn energy, and you best believe that there is a huge transformation taking place in our lives, starting with our inner realm. Now, Pluto is still barely even moving. He just woke up out of his 5.5 month slumber in a retrograde position. He's an outer planet, which means he doesn't move very fast anyways. It will take him quite some time to actually bust out of his post-shadow period. So we're still trying to put the pieces together. Now, what I will say is that this can kind of unfold in two different ways. First of all, we tend to be a little bit of a negative Nancy with the moon in Capricorn anyways, very much feeling the weight of the world on our shoulders. And again, illuminated to what it is that we feel trapped in life. And Pluto likes to take us down the deep, dark road, the depths of our pain, of our trauma, of our suffering, in order for us to realize how it is that we got in particular situations that we're currently in. Now, it is not meant to paralyze us. It is not meant to trigger, fear and pain and paralysis. It is meant to show us where it is that we have the ability to take our power back, to stand in our power, to transform the not so nice parts of our experience into something good, to pluck out the silver linings, to use that as a stepping stone in order to get to where it is that we now desire to be. So, yes, there is a little bit of an existential dread and funk that comes with this particular aspect, but we almost need to move into that funk in order to push us, motivate us, inspire us to do better, to be better, to take control over our lives, and to actually kind of align with the power placements that we need to be standing in order to actually make those changes. We have the sun interacting with Neptune in not the nicest way. The sun in Scorpio, again, very deep, very probing. We're trying to get to the bottom of the truth. We're trying to unearth a lot of the unconscious blocks and challenges that are preventing us from actually moving forward. We are trying to analyze our deepest, darkest desires, but with that comes a little bit of an illumination on what is our deepest, darkest fears. Now, we have Neptune, who is all about our higher self, our intuition, our dreams, our level of creativity, the higher level of intellect that we can tap into in order to be inspired and gain visions and insights on where it is that we want to go from here. Neptune, of course, is retrograde in its place of power in Pisces energy. So this is some water on water action. What do we know about water? Well, it is deeply cleansing, deeply transformative. We have to sit in the fields in order to actually acknowledge them and integrate them and change them into something that is going to work for us instead of something that works against us. But this is a very difficult interaction. This isn't fun, which means that it's going to be very hard for us to actually define our goals, to define our dreams, to define our visions. And you know what? That's okay. There is this urgency that many of us are feeling to figure it all out. May I remind you, we're still in eclipse season. We couldn't figure it out right now, even if we tried. We will be sorted out. We will have a direction. We will have a path mid-November that becomes very clear. But there's this pressure that we're feeling right now to figure it all out, to get a plan together, to, have a step-by-step strategy put into place. And we're just not having it right now. What I will say is that if you can focus on a spiritual practice or spiritual education or artistic endeavors versus tasks and chores that need us to be logical and practical and look at the details and pluck out the facts of life, I would say lean into the artistic and spiritual endeavors over the intellectual ones, because we're going to have a hard time trying to make sense of anything. What I will say is that we are kind of wavering in our willpower. We are wavering in our self-confidence right now. We are very discontent with our lives. There's no, ifs, ands, or buts about that. But that actually leads us to feeling very overwhelmed. And of course, this Neptune energy being the escape artist of the zodiac, if we get overwhelmed, we tend to want to disassociate, run away from life, want to kind of numb ourselves, throw ourselves into something that, favorably speaking, should be artistic or spiritual in nature in order for us to ride this particular wave. The hard part is that we want all the answers. That's where the sun in Scorpio comes in. We want all the answers. We want all the information. We want the big, great, grand picture. We want to figure it out, but it's not happening. So give yourself permission to ride the wave. Throw yourself into a coloring book. Throw yourself into meditation. Throw yourself into something that actually works with this energy instead of trying to go against it. At 11:15 a.m., this is the last aspect that the moon in Capricorn will make before going void, of course, and shifting into Aquarian energy. We have the moon in Capricorn sextiling, which is a great energy, with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, abundance, blessings, who is just freshly retrograde into Piscean energy. If you didn't listen to that astro forecast, go ahead and do that. That's going to be carrying us through these last couple of months of 2022. Very imperative for us to perfect and master whatever it is that we set out to kind of master back in 2020. You can look at where Jupiter is currently transiting your chart or where Pisces rules over in your chart in order to figure out what that particular life lesson is. But having the moon sextile Jupiter in this way is great for a vision, great for goals, great for pumping ourselves up in a positive way, bringing a little bit of hype back. It is showing us where it is. Now, again, let me just throw this in here. This doesn't mean that you have to come up with a perfect plan and strategy. This just means that you are willing to allow yourself to think about the big vision, the big dream, the big goal that you would like to be living, and at least identify whether it excites you, whether you have a passion for it, what that would actually mean as far as changes and transformations in your life, what is needed in order to actually align with that vision and dream. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you sure as hell have to have some kind of vision, some kind of inspiration, some kind of idea on what it is that you want to be growing towards, what it is that you want to be moving towards, what it is that you want to eventually achieve as far as certain goals and visions go. And again, having Jupiter now retrograde in this Piscean energy, it's taking us back to the beginning of 2022. We came into 2022 at this approximate degree and carried it all the way up to May 10th of 2022. And that's, pretty normal for us to come into a new year with all these hopes and visions and dreams and goals. Now, many of us didn't get to accomplish any of that, but Jupiter is retrograde. We have to reflect back. We have to revise our plans, re-edit what our vision, what our dream actually is. It's okay to change your mind, but you do have to do the work in order to actually sit down and focus on what it is that you're actually trying to manifest in your life. That's step one of manifesting. Identify what it is you actually want to be living. So then the moon goes void, of course, locks into Aquarian energy, 11:43 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The very first aspect that the moon in Aquarius makes is a positive interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is currently retrograde in Aries energy. So this is a good vibe. What this is doing is it is allowing us to emotionally detach. That's what the Aquarian energy does. It provides us an emotional detachment so that we can fly high, act as our observer self, and see the greater, grander picture of all that's going on in our inner realm and in our outer realm. Because Chiron is the wounded healer. He illuminates the pain, the trauma, the suffering, the wound, if you will. He also gives us the wisdom on how to heal said wound. Because he's been retrograde in Aries energy, this is taking a good look at our mental health. This is taking a good look at what has been damaged and destroyed in our lives, creating a little bit of a pain and trauma cycle in order to push us into reinventing ourselves. This is a good vibe though, which means that we're having an aha moment, a shift in perspective, a deeper understanding of why some of the painful situations had to happen in order to push us into our power. Again, plucking out the silver linings out of a bad situation in order to try and make it as good as possible. And the moon interacting with Chiron is illuminating our growth, our improvement, the changes that we've made, the ability to dive into our healing journey, showing us where it is that we have things to celebrate, that we are morphing into a better version of ourselves because of some of the painful situations that we had to go through. You always learn about yourself when you're going through the darkness. There's always an aha moment on how strong you are, how resilient you are, how much perseverance you have, where your determination is, what you were inspired to change in your life because of whatever situation happened to you. This is a prime example to that. And I feel like this is a super good vibe. Then we have the moon making a very positive interaction with Mars. And as you know, Mars just went retrograde in Gemini energy. So we have the Aquarian energy, the Gemini energy. They're both air energies. We're moving into the mental plane. We are essentially trying to see the bigger, brighter picture of the two different choices, the past, the decisions that we are currently debating between. Again, Mars is now introverted, taking a lot of that physical energy, that aggression, that drive, that passion, even that anger that we use out in the world to make things happen. We're bringing that all in to sort through our thoughts, our ideas. We're recognizing where it is that, you know what, we have to think of the big picture in order to break it down into smaller, manageable pieces in order for us to figure out how it is that we actually think and feel about our objectives, about our goal, about our vision. This is when Venus goes ahead and interacts with Mars in not the most comfortable way. So we have the feminine divine energy, we have the masculine divine energy. Anytime they make an interaction, we are definitely feeling that tug of war because they are both inner planets. We have Venus and Scorpio energy trying to kind of peel back the layers of the ego self to reveal the true soul's mission, the true soul's purpose, the wants, needs, and desires of our karma and of our soul contracts right now. She's working on her work. She's working on her values. She's cutting away the crap that has kind of diminished her own light in the world. And of course, she positioned herself to choose partners that were going to mirror back the wounds that she still had to work on. And of course, she's examining her money matters as well and her long-term financial safety and security, not realizing that the way that she feels about herself and values herself and sees herself as skilled and talented has a huge contributing factor to the monetary success and stability that she is able to kind of achieve. She's going through a lot. Mars, again, still trying to adapt to this retrograde, still trying to realize why he's kind of being blocked from taking action in the outside world because, again, retrograde is an internalized inner journey. This particular energy is tense. It is going to create a conflict. It could trigger a lot of different emotions for us. I'll give you a couple. We might find ourselves competitive. We might find ourselves a little bit jealous. We might find ourselves looking at the differences between us and the people that we love instead of focusing in on the commonalities. We might find ourselves in a very stimulating energy where it's, triggering our passions, triggering our desires. It is kind of illuminating for us where it is that we have a lot of needs that aren't being met And those particular needs are going to stand out like a sore thumb. And what I will also say is that because Mars is very unstable right now, trying to adjust to this retrograde energy, there's a lot of impulse control that is very needed. And where Venus is involved, it is likely impulses around either A, love and relationships, expressing too much, being too needy, being too possessive, or B, impulses to spend money, to make a purchase on things that are trying to fill the void of the inner emotional work that many of us are avoiding to do. You know how, you get in a funk and you think, oh, maybe I should go and buy myself something nice. Well, don't do that. It is not worth the money. It is not going to fill the void. It is merely going to represent the work that you are avoiding to do within yourself. So just save yourself that whole money and purchase and desire. We have the moon in Aquarius getting into the boxing ring with Mercury, who is in Scorpio energy. We just moved into Scorpio energy. Go ahead, take a listen to the astro forecast if you haven't already. Get the full picture on what Mercury being in Scorpio is all about. Well, we know that a square getting into the boxing ring is never good. And where the moon and Mercury are involved, this is our heart and our head. So our heart and our head are not in agreement right now. We got to get in that boxing ring and have a battle royale of our thoughts versus our emotions. Now, here's the thing. The moon in Aquarius is emotionally detached so that we can see the bigger, brighter picture without allowing our emotions to navigate and to dictate the information of what is actually happening. We don't want our emotions to paint a light and fluffy, fuzzy picture that, hides the truth and hides the reality. We have Mercury over here in Scorpio that is all about unearthing the hidden truth, all about trusting our intuition, trusting the unseen vibrations of the unseen world in order to illuminate to us what it is that isn't being said, what it is that isn't in our faces. We are having to tap into our extrasensory abilities in order to kind of pluck out the details of truth that we're not getting in a factual, in your face, tangible type of instance. So we're in this boxing ring, and we're just kind of beating ourselves up at this particular point because Mercury's whole goal here is to unearth the deepest, darkest parts of ourselves, of our truth, of our hidden past, our hidden desires, our old memories, in order for us to see where it is, big picture, moon in Aquarius, where it is that we've been self-sabotaging ourselves, where it is that we've been essentially blocking our own blessings and blocking the path in actually moving forward. So, our heart and our head are not in agreement. If you find yourself in a situation here today where you are having to have a heart-to-heart or having to jump into a very serious conversation with another person, I would say resist it at all costs because it's not going to go well. You're not going to be understood. The message is not going to be received. You're not going to be in agreement by the time that it is over. But if you are put in a situation where you have to express yourself, then you know what? Spit the truth. Straight up facts, straight up gut reaction, straight up instincts, because that's really all we have to go on right now. We might not have the details, the information, the situations to support the way that we are feeling, because a lot of this, we're running on gut feelings, we're running on instinct, we're running on intuition. So we are definitely going to have an aha moment come out of this particular square, but it likely isn't going to be tonight.